Welcome to Cardone Debates, hosted by me, Dana. How are you guys doing? It's Tuesday, September 16th. It's 5 p.m. We went ahead and started live. We're actually waiting on a couple more guests, but we're just going to let some people come into the room and see what's going on in the meantime. But anyway, why don't we have Cheney, can you bring up the two guests that we do have right now while we're waiting for you guys to show up? Prince Andrew, Mike Mack, Gary.
Hey, guys.
How's it going, guys?
Wow, who are these freaks? Prince Andrew and Mike the Mac. Wow, you guys are studs. And the Dana Howe with her pink glasses. Hey, Dana, do you feel like when you put glasses on that you can get into a different character?
I always feel like I can get into a different character.
Yeah, how many personalities do you
say.
have? Is that the right question?
I haven't counted them, but I do remember being one of them watching you with your light looking for the aliens the other day. So
fact.
I don't know if that's I don't know if that's me being a personality or you just being yourself. Not really sure.
Yeah, well.
Did they come get you?
If you don't have 100,000 lumen flashlight, you're not a man. Mike Mack, do you have 100,000 lumen light? You're muted, so you too are an idiot.
No, I just was talking. I was miming. A lot of people don't know that.
Ooh.
See?
Watch this. That's you are an idiot. Go ahead, Mike Mack. Welcome to the show, bro.
I'm only gonna guess that. What you just spoiled it for everybody. I had it. I totally had that one.
Mike Mack from Texas. What's going on in Texas right now, buddy? Do you have any news whatsoever to bring us so that we can appear to know what we're doing, but in fact we're just killing a bunch of dead space because we have guests that have not shown up?
It's all
paid dearly for, by the way.
It's all kumbaya down here in Texas, baby. We're always good, no matter what happens, no matter how it looks to the outside. We are always good. We always find our way.
And Dana, who's this other freak show that you got in the corner? Prince Andrew, of all names.
Yes. Prince Andrew. He's an art collector.
He's British.
What's your favorite artwork, Prince Andrew? You got a lot of American flags, which is very appropriate for today.
Well, one of them is You Don't Know the Half of It, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Next to the
I feel that way a lot.
Next to Never Mind the Bollocks by the Sex Pistols with Double Elvis.
I have some crazy friends.
Cool.
And of course, Liechtenstein's got it all wrong.
Yo, Andrew, how much money did you lose at the card game the other night?
Not as much as you, my friend.
What do you put me in at? Yeah, I got spanked pretty bad.
I got a feeling if it wasn't Gary's house, he would have left 3 hours before everybody else did.
Yeah, it wasn't my favorite night. But I don't think I was in a great mood either. So I felt guilty. I felt a little guilty about playing that night, actually. Well, look who we got coming through the front door, Bruce Fenton.
Hey,
one of my favorite people in the whole world.
Hey,
Bruce,
there.
good to have you, dude.
Sir. Good to
Hey, if you guys don't know all of these people, make sure you follow Prince Andrew at Prince Andrew. You'll find him very, very easily. And then Bruce Fenton, he's awesome. He's all on X, YouTube, and by the way, the three of you guys don't know each other, but you will all like each other a lot. So Mike Mack's in Texas. He does a podcast on Wednesdays. What do you do? What are you doing now, Mike? You're doing Spaces?
Yeah, say Something X Space on Wednesday night at 6:00 Eastern, and then Say Something Beyond podcast is on Sunday night at 6:00 Eastern as well, over on Rumble.
And Bruce, are you back in the States now, or are you still overseas?
Yeah, I'm in good old New Hampshire, Free State.
Nice, man. Really good to have you.
Thank you.
And I'm sure the audience is going to enjoy this collection of people. And then we have, who else we have showing up tonight? We have our typical D grade, Dustin Stockman. Is he showing up?
Yep.
And his girl?
Dustin and Jen. That's right. Yep.
Awesome. So we have a panel of 6 men, and we have Cheney in the background, and you, a woman, also operating everything. So look, let's roll. Who's taking whose side? Who's that? Who's that?
Thanks for joining us. This is Dustin. He comes with a new look every time.
It's amazing.
This is a good one.
Which one's Dustin?
Sorry
there
I was late, but don't worry. I'm here to carry the team as usual. I got you guys.
Thank God.
Now, can you get your
We were getting
microphone a little bit
really
closer?
Is that better?
Yeah, if you could just stick it right down your throat, that would be awesome. Okay? Seriously. How are
Dustin
you
actually
today,
has
sir?
a new hairstyle again.
I'm doing great. I have a wonderful day. Did a dump run though, and this time by a couple of minutes. My bad on that.
You did a dump run?
Yeah, like ran a bunch of garbage to the place where garbage is disposed.
Okay.
I was going somewhere else with that.
Those kind of things.
What's with the green shit?
Gary's out. Where's Jen?
She'll be here in just a moment.
Okay, awesome. Well, we have everybody except Jen. So thanks for coming, guys.
Dana, why don't you tell us who's on whose teams?
Well, we were making this more of a discussion because this is not really a debate, but if we want to change it up and make it a debate, we can. This was more was more in memory of Charlie Kirk, and what he stood for was debates. So we wanted to discuss the Smith-Mundt Act, and how actually I saw a video that you posted on your Twitter account from a nice woman saying that she was proposing, and I'm sure it got some traction because it was reposted by Donald Trump, that the Smith-Mundt Act should be renamed to the Charlie Kirk Act. I thought that was kind of an interesting idea. Do you guys have
Hey,
some
Dana,
background noise?
Maybe somebody's microphone's getting a bunch of feedback. I don't know whose it is. Cheney, maybe you can tell us. Looks like the boys are being good.
I'm going to mute myself, and then we can just figure out who it is.
And suddenly it's all better.
I think it's you, sweetie.
It's me.
I think it is you. So why don't we start instead of making the audience just hang around and wait? I thought we were going to do a debate, and I was going to be able to rip a couple of guys into shreds because I'm so angry over the last week.
What if we all agree,
It's
though?
not
That's
my mic. This is not my mic. It's somebody else's.
Okay, well, look, who wants to give us a summary of what the Smith-Mundt Act is? I pulled it up, but does anybody actually know? Have some context and real understanding? Dustin, you're right. You're nodding your head. Go ahead, buddy.
So essentially, we decided a long time ago as a country that the government should not participate in propaganda targeted at the American people. So, of course, we do propaganda in other nations, and I think that is open for debate. But for a long time, the government was forbidden from propagandizing the American people. Obama signed, I think, a revoke of the Smith-Mundt Act, which is the law that prevented the government from doing propaganda targeted towards American citizens, and allowed for and re-allowed for the government to openly propagandize the American people. And that would be probably the 10,000-foot overview of Smith-Mundt.
Yeah, just to add a little flavor to that, January 27, 1948, this law, the Smith-Mundt Act, formerly known as the United States Information and Educational Act 1948, is a U.S. federal law that authorizes and regulates the government's international broadcasting and public diplomacy efforts to promote understanding of American policies and cultures abroad. It was designed to counter Soviet propaganda during the early Cold War by enabling the State Department to produce and distribute informational materials such as radio broadcasts for foreign audiences while explicitly prohibiting their dissemination within the United States to prevent domestic propaganda. So that's just a good level set. I don't know if anybody else has any information, but that was then turned over by Obama in 2013 and allowed broadcasters to make their content available domestically upon request, though maintain prohibitions on actively targeting or influencing American audiences. This change aimed to adapt to the digital age. Here we go, Bruce, right? Where global content is easily accessible online, but has sparked debates about potential government influence on domestic media. This was part, by the way, this update was part of what Obama called the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2013. Really amazing how many little bills they sneak in here that nobody knows anything about.
So the NDAA is an annual, like, rite of passage, if you will, government spending spree that's mostly focused on military spending and appropriation. And it's always filled with this kind of nonsense. It also allowed for, so what's interesting, when we went through the Twitter files, there is overlap between, and the repeal of the Smith-Mundt Act created a gray area around how much the government is able to interfere with social media. And a good example is Jen and I were both labeled as Russian-aligned operatives because we opposed the war in Ukraine, and because Russia didn't want us to get involved in the war in Ukraine, and I didn't want us to get involved in the war in Ukraine. Well, then obviously, like, we are both in a line. Sorry, guys, I don't know how to turn that off. Somebody else talk.
Gary, can't hear you.
Sorry, I didn't know how to.
My mic is.
Bruce, go ahead,
Bruce.
I think mine might be echoing. Do you guys hear an echo with mine? All right, let me come back. I'll come right back in.
Mike back.
Well, that's echoing too.
Wow.
Gary,
So
I
good
think
that
it
we
might
can-
be coming through your audio. I think you don't have earphones in, so it's replaced.
How's that? Is that any better? Still echoing.
Mic check.
Check.
La la.
Checkity check.
I still hear it.
I don't hear it with Dana though. I don't hear it now for me either.
Prince Andrew, you might have to stay on mute. Oh, no, I heard it.
I heard it for me.
I sound pretty good. I don't hear an echo from me.
I sound.
What about for me? Hello?
You sound good.
It's got to be Mike. That's the only reason he's not echoing, right? He's literally making so he's the only one who can talk. I see what you're doing, Mike. I see you.
Everybody else is doing it too on the internet. I figured I would do it too.
Okay, well, does anyone want to move on with the Smith-Mundt Act? Or shall we proceed to some other topic now that we've obliterated it? Or is anyone having fun but me?
Check.
Yeah, we're all
Is
having
anyone
fun.
tired of doing spaces, doing podcasts,
I'm tired of spaces.
Is anyone tired of the Strategic Reserve Corporation? Uh-oh. Now we're getting.
Yeah, it seems like several of us have.
What's going on?
Echo. Am I echoing now?
It's a day in Echo Land.
How about now? Now I'm.
No,
now
you sound good.
No, I
dude.
really
You sound
think
like
it was
you're on a-
London.
So there's something.
There's Lyndon.
Bruce, you sound like you own a shitload of Bitcoin is what you sound like.
How does that sound exactly?
It sounds good. No, you know.
Soon as Prince Andrew came back again.
Fucking
Yeah.
MI6. Hey, MI6, get out of here, dude. You're only good for a good bottle of whiskey, man.
Okay. I think it's Prince Andrew.
Yeah.
Because I muted his mic and it went away.
Told
He's
you
the
the guy
mole.
was a Mossad agent.
He's the mole. Damn. Freaking England is falling apart,
I thought
bro.
it was me, but I think I sound all right when he's not on.
You look better too.
Keir Starmer's behind all of it. I knew it.
Someone else always.
Get a bigger frame. See, this is a little bit what you people in the audience just saw is my theory on corporate advancement. You just keep going till the other fuckers make so many mistakes they get expelled. I mean, it's just easy, right? You just hang in there.
Never give up.
Keep punching.
Tenacious.
Well, guys, what are we going to do now,
Okay.
Dana? This
I
is
told
when
Lyndon-
the host salvages
I told-
the whole show. And, I'm saying, like, I need some
I
help.
always do that. Yeah, Lyndon's gonna maybe get some headphones and come back. So we'll see.
I assume Lennon shouldn't come back. He's a problem.
Okay.
So
Now,
Okay,
where's the other people
I'll let
at?
him know. I'll let him know.
No,
Everybody's
just make
here.
him struggle. Just make him struggle. Don't communicate with him.
Where's
Hey,
Dusty?
Bruce. While we're not talking about anything whatsoever, how is it to be back in the U.S., buddy? After being gone for a while.
I love it. I mean, it's my home, and it's got some problems, but it's the best there is. It's the worst country other than every other country, I guess. And there's a lot of things I wish we could change, but it's a worthy experiment, and I don't know any other place that's better overall. There's there's places giving us a run for their money. I mean, we do have some challenges with some of the crime in our cities and some of the other issues that we have. And a week like this is very concerning. It's very sad to see how many people are having glee at somebody who's being murdered. Makes you wonder if we need a national divorce. But America's always going to be my home. It's always going to be my place, and I'll keep working on trying to make it a better and better place. No matter what, as long as I live.
Yeah, I know you will. Okay, Dana, back to you.
Yep. I was just talking to Prince Andrew. All right. So, Gary, what do you think about doing this as a debate then?
Oh, wow. What a novel idea. Gosh. I thought this was called debates, and then we changed it. So, Mike, you and I are going to debate. Where'd everybody go? Do we even have anyone? Mike and Bruce are here. This is really well done, guys. So let's see. Who wants to take the side of, or we just continue communicating about the policy. I'll take either side. I don't care, but we need probably another person.
We need a little more background. I think we need a little more background on how the Smith-Mundt Act came around and then how it changed since Obama. And then what's been proposed as of now based on what's.
Well, let me just start.
We probably need to define what propaganda is too.
Yeah.
As it is in that bill.
Since
Let me just start
II.
and say, we should be asking the question right now, how much propaganda have we been being fed and for how long?
Mm-hmm.
This is greatly concerning to me, okay? Some of the stuff I am discovering under this administration, and maybe it just needed this, but or maybe I've had my head in the sand. I think that's actually probably the debate we should be having is, wow, I am shocked. I'm in my 60s and I have not been paying attention to who the hell's been doing what to who the hell and who's got our ticket. I mean, I'm watching our FBI director look like he's a complete pussy, okay? Like that is not, in fact, not only a baby, but not an intelligent one. I mean, it's embarrassing, man. I don't know who to trust. In fact, I don't trust anyone at this point. And like I just had to leave a space on finance, and some guy, you know, he's now had a week of being triggered over his Jewish affiliation, and he's like, "Hey, I got to say something now," and he's cracked up, dude. He's just like gone off. And I had to leave the space just to say, bro, you're just wrong. Okay, you're wrong. You cannot keep defending this bullshit. Someone killed this nice young 31-year-old articulate, smart kid. And I don't think it was Palestine, okay? I don't think it was Ireland. I don't think it was Venezuela. You know, I think it was somebody inside our fucking government is what I think. Okay, I think it was organized. And
what if it turns out it's not?
It's a message to everybody on the planet. Hey, shut the fuck up. Mind your own business. Go in your house. We'll lower interest rates, then go hide in your fucking house. And it's a hook. It's literally a trap. So I'm angry. I'm angry, very angry. Okay. I am angry. I'm not rageful. I'm not going to hurt anybody. I'm not going to hurt myself. But this is bullshit, dude. I post something. By the way, you know, we should all have a rule on Twitter. You shouldn't be able to delete shit. You want to make life real, you can't delete it after you send it out. That's real life. Okay? And you live with it under your freaking name. And people would be very, very hesitant to go smash out the send button if hey, I'm going to live with this shit for the rest of my life. I cannot delete it. So anyway, I got to admit, I did not know that Obama changed a rule in 2013, ran it right up our ass to make it legal that the media companies could propagandize American citizens. And we can say that it isn't right to do to other people. I actually probably would have believed this when I was younger. We need to stay out of everybody's business as a government, in my opinion. But this is heinous shit, okay? And if you didn't know this, this is now 12 years plus some months. I'm going to hold you responsible just like I'm holding myself responsible going, hey, I didn't know this, man. Okay, now I can point my fingers at all the bad guys. But the truth is, I didn't know because I don't ask any questions. I don't want to know how governments run. I just want shit to be handled. And when there's a bad guy on the street, they take him away. You know, maybe Al Pacino or Robert De Niro was right. Like maybe Americans can't handle the truth. You know, that Tom Cruise movie when Jack Nicholson said, yeah, Americans can't handle the truth. You know, we got to kill people for the safety of what we have. I don't want to kill anybody for my safety. I would rather be uncomfortable for a while, quite frankly. I would rather pay $500 crude oil than keep killing people. I'm cool paying $12 for gasoline. We'd probably drive less and go less stupid places. We would for sure be more efficient. And killing a human being, I don't care who they are. Okay? It's fucking ridiculous. So anyway, I just needed to get that off my chest because I'm going to explode on somebody if they keep this shit up. By the way, I actually think this country is going to explode. So I'll just go ahead and say that. It's probably going to get thrown in jail. Like literally, I am worried about people knocking on my door, dude.
Well, you should be.
Yeah, I know I should be.
I mean, we're watching it roll out in the rest of the world as far as, right, like people who think that a social credit score is not coming and that's going to be tied to your basic human services are not familiar with what is being implemented and planned across the board. Social credit score, digital ID, and central bank digital currency. It's the unholy trinity of tyranny, and it's a system designed for absolute control from a centralized location. I've had to stay away from social media for the last week because I'm too angry. That I have a rage, because it's not just Charlie Kirk, who I saw at Tea Party rallies when he was still just a kid. I've watched, I had a front row seat to the entirety of his career. It's the never ending subjugation. It's the media dragging. It's under Biden and Obama. It's the Homeland Security labeling the biggest threat to Americans as right-wing terrorists. It's all of this stuff over and over and over again that they're laying out. Wildly and insanely frustrating. And I warn people, I find myself, like in the immediate aftermath, I found myself what we call Fed posting, right? And Fed posting is where you post something incendiary so that the feds can then make a list of everybody who engages with it to like make a target list. My emotions on this stuff is very real. And sometimes I get to this point where I'm just like, yo, well, fuck you, come get me again for like the 19th time. But we all do have to put like self-censor because of the nature and the surveillance of the deep state. It's hugely problematic. And Jen, I think you still have to mute while I'm talking, or that's where the feedback's coming.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how like this idea, Dustin, what you're talking about, this idea of, oh well, there's like digital. Did you guys see recently that Vietnam has removed like a whole bunch of private banks, like hundreds of banks?
30 million.
So okay, so then we get our social credit score just like China does, and then and then what's going to happen? We're going to log in one day and our bank's going to be gone. Yeah.
Ask me how I know that that's a real thing that happens to people based on
that happened to you, right?
No, so Jen and I were debanked. Now, to be clear, we have not once even been charged, much less convicted of a crime. And that did not prevent them from taking away our rights to speak through shadow banning and censorship across social media platforms. It did not stop them from trying to restrict our freedom of everything by taking away our ability to transact in the traditional economy. If you're not, people don't realize, if you don't have a bank account and you are like us, you're put on the politically exposed persons list, where it's not just, oh, we take the account you currently have and you go to a credit union. No bank will bank you. You will not have a bank account for 4 or 5 years. Again, never even accused of a crime, no due process, no ability to go after and stop it from coming. That is the system we need to be afraid of, right? Is that when you remove our constitutional rights, which includes like the First Amendment, your rights to speech, which gets to the heart of this. But when you add additionally to that, the Fourth and Fifth Amendments, and we get rid of people's due process, your ability to like see a judge, to restore your rights, to restore your place as an upstanding citizen in society, what happens is you're left with no recourse. When you have no recourse to like course correct, I say this, it sounds hyperbolic to people who don't understand. Debanking is a violent attempt to starve people to death.
Absolutely.
And
you cut off the supply of the enemy. I mean, they just cut you off. I mean, it's tactics, right? It's a terror tactic. It's not cool to without due process.
Yeah, and in a digital world, getting shut off digitally is the kiss of death. I mean, it's you can't do anything. You can't have this meeting. You can't pay for your internet. We can't have communication. And one of the problems is, like you, Gary, I get worried about tanks driving down my driveway. And I worried when that cackling commie was running for president that I said, man, if she wins, I'm going to get out of here because they're going to be coming after me with a MRAP. But the problem is the Republicans are just as bad. When Charlie was shot, I was arguing with some Republicans who wanted to Governor Abbott wants to, he was talking about censoring people based on religion. He's like, doesn't want Muslims to be able to say certain things. And there's Republicans who want to ban this speech and that speech. And Pam Bondi said just today that hate speech needs to be stopped. And so it's like two sides of the same coin. The Republicans are I don't think as authoritarian, but they're also authoritarian. Many of them, there's at least a good liberty streak within the Republicans, but there's also a super statist streak where they're just as bad as Kamala. They just want to ban people for different things. Like Kamala wants to ban you because you wear a red MAGA hat, and the Republicans want to ban you because you say Free Palestine or whatever. And that's concerning. And when the government, you have this big, huge government, and it's funny because I've talked to people on the left before. I say, if this isn't enough to get you to want to shrink government, what is? I mean, I happen to notice that some of you folks on the left don't exactly love the guy in charge. Wouldn't you want to say, gee, let's starve him of his power? No, that's the last thing they do. They want him to have all this power. This 300,000 person standing army called Department of Homeland Security. This idea that, that when we moved to New Hampshire, they were Homeland Security had this big SWAT team thing. They were raiding a massage parlor. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought these are the guys who are supposed to be saving us from the terrorists, and now they've got this, they had helicopters and everything because this, some sort of shenanigans allegedly going on at the massage parlor. I'm like, really? This is what the guys that, we now have, and it is a standing army. I mean, you ever see that Norman Rockwell picture of the cop and he's leaning over to the kid in the ice cream shop? He's got a little 38 special. You see these guys now, they got the full gear, fully automatic, everything bulletproof, the big, we in New Hampshire, some activists got rid of some of these tanks. I call them tanks, technically MRAP. They're not technically a tank, but they look like a tank, and they're big, ugly, bulletproof vehicle. And they're used for things like, driving over the house of somebody who has an illegal plant. It's authoritarianism on both sides. The right and the left, with very few voices of reason in between, and that's a very dangerous. It's a dangerous place. I'm glad Kamala didn't win, but when I see things like Kash Patel and what Pam Bondi said today, I said, oh great. How much better are we? Maybe at best it's just we staved off a little bit of the worst case scenario for a couple of years, but it's certainly not the land.
Well, Bruce, to your point, these bills are not signed by a president or a prime minister.
Right.
Congress signs these. Fuck all these politicians. I don't care. Blue, neutral, red, dude, they're all the same. They're all compromised. You got, what's her name, saying, hey, we're not going to overturn Congress and senators being able to do insider trading. I mean, this is a club. It is total racketeering. My mother failed in advising me what I should have done as a career. I should have become a career politician. It is the least risk with the most exposure to the world. You do the least amount of work. You work 5 to 6 months a year, maybe, and you make a shitload of money.
Yeah, you get the under table and the above the table money.
And isn't it? I get to invite all my buddies to the club too. Okay,
they go in and within a couple of years they have tens of millions.
It's
AOC
disgusting. Dude.
AOC couldn't afford her apartment when she went in, and now she's got the $40 million net worth. It's a big old club.
And you know what? Not $1 is going to help her with a big fat ass or a bad IQ. Okay,
she just doesn't have the IQ. Right in the middle of the Charlie Kirk turmoil, what'd they do? They went and rejected the bill to release the Epstein files. Why? I think there was only 2 Republicans that broke from that and voted to release the files. Rand Paul was one of them. So why? What are they hiding for? And what happened when Trump for a long time and his sons said, oh, we got to release the truth, and then all of a sudden Netanyahu comes and visits, and right that moment, that's the day that he says, oh no, we're not going to do it. I mean, did the boss come into town and say, no, you're not releasing this? It's a very, very, very fishy thing. This whole assassination is fishy, and this happens all the time. We never hear the truth. We never get the manifesto from the Nashville shooter. There's always these vague things. They're saying that the guy broke down this Mauser 98, broke it down and then put it back together to hide it in the woods, things that just don't make sense. And I don't think we'll ever hear with this guy may not even make it to trial. We don't quite know what's going on. There's a lot of shady stuff in the world on both sides. And it's very disheartening to think like, where are we and what are we doing and how do we get out of this mess?
Mike Mack, what do you think, buddy? Be helpful to have you unmuted again.
I'm sorry. What do you like when you ask me what do I think? What are you asking me?
Well, on this act, because to Bruce's point, on this act, they could literally tell the American public, "Hey, Mike Mack killed this man, Charlie Kirk. That's the deal. End of story."
But they could do that anyway.
I guess I want to wrap around this is true propaganda, though. Someone were to discover, look, this story is going to come. There's too many people on this story. Okay, like this is not going away tomorrow morning, I don't think. But just on the idea, well, one, did you know that 13 years ago they changed the rules and they could propagandize, and that means they have been doing it to Americans. And that we are now just looking at this going, hey, we need to turn this around. So where are you at on this ruling? And where, in the state of America, really, because that's what this is about. We wouldn't be talking about this if we were in a good state.
Well, I mean, I don't think we're ever going to be in a good state. So at least we have a perpetual talking point from now on. It'll always be another one that comes up in place of the other ones. And so I look at it like, when it comes down to this particular act, I specifically didn't look up anything on this act because I wanted to hear what everybody else's takes were today, so I could make a decision based on what I heard from everyone else as to how I would do it. You know the saying that knowledge is knowing a tomato is a fruit, but wisdom is knowing you don't put it in a fruit salad. So I've decided that with all of the disinformation that's going on right now in this world, I've decided to take a different tack. Especially after the Charlie Kirk thing. I'm not really looking for any more knowledge, to be honest with you. I'm not looking to find out more. I'm looking for everybody else to find out more. And then both sides can give it to me, and then I'm going to make a decision based on what I hear from both sides. Because me having the knowledge is only biasing me towards something else that I want to go toward. So I'd rather I don't want to know what the Smith-Mundt Act is. I'd rather have y'all look it up. Y'all define what it is to you. And then I'll decide what it means to me based on people that I trust, people that I like, and how y'all define it. You see what I'm saying? And no, go ahead.
No, Mike, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't thought you were done. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I'm probably done anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm just listening. Go ahead.
What I was going to add is, so in 1948, the Voice of America was founded, which was the propaganda arm that was mostly used outside of the United States, right? That they would go out and they would push American propaganda throughout Europe coming out of the Soviet era, right? And then in 2012, when Obama showed up and decided to repeal the Smith-Mundt Act, that meant that they could then take that propaganda that they had been putting out to the world, right, and then turn it in and bring it back to the United States. And when they did that, they really set the bar for all of the private news agencies to have to live up to, right? Because you have the Voice of America, the government news agency, reporting fake facts about COVID, concentrating on climate change, concentrating on the transsexual, generation agenda, right? And it made it so that American news companies had to keep up with the propaganda that was coming out of the United States government. And then also enabling fact checkers to then not fact check, real information. They had to fact check based on what the American government was putting out.
And I heard someone talk about that earlier, and then I've heard Bruce talk, and I've heard Gary talk about it as well. And so I look at the situation now, and then the answer is simply, I think it's bad.
Well, I don't think that we necessarily need a new Smith-Mundt Act, right? I think that we need a basic law that bans the American government from propagandizing its own citizens, right? The fact that the U.S. government, it's not even that they're using actual fact to do it. They're making up facts as they go along. But
the thing is, though, is if I'm playing devil's advocate, the government doesn't follow any of their own laws anyway. Right? They literally don't. Like, if I hear gun control one more time, I'm probably going to, it's like, there is no gun, like, don't murder someone. There's your gun law, right? Don't murder someone with a gun. There's another gun law. Like, if you violate 15 gun laws on the way to commit a crime, you've already violated 15 gun laws. What is the 16th gun law going to do? Because even if you violate all these gun laws, what happens? People still say, well, I'm not sure about it. If you're a conspiracy theory, if you think a country did it, well, a country had to be behind it because they're behind this. I'm still an Occam's razor guy. I still believe the simplest answer is usually the correct one. But there's a lot of people in my ear on both sides that are trying to tell me this. Oh, you got to look into this. You got to look at this. I don't have to look into anything. I just read it as it comes to me. From now on, if there's disinformation, that the focus is now on me to investigate harder into my discernment. If there's misinformation coming at me, the onus is on me now to be able to make a decision.
Yeah, but why should the onus be on you, right? If the American government is putting it out as the American government, there's supposed to be some kind of litmus test in society that you can point to, right? Back in the day, you had 3 news channels: CBS, ABC, and Fox. Right. But now where they were taking this American propaganda, spreading it to the world, and they were told, no, you are not allowed to bring that back onto U.S. soil. The same thing with the CIA. The CIA is not supposed to be operating on U.S. soil, yet we find out they are. Right. So in 2012, when they repealed the Smith-Mundt Act, they were able to take that propaganda that they had been pushing out to the world, turn it back in on the United States, and then propagandize its own citizens into a false narrative, and then use a series of fact checkers that the government was using in order to enhance or protect that narrative that they were pushing out through Voice of America, which is taxpayer funded. Why would we allow the American government to propagandize its own citizens?
I think that what Obama did is bad. I don't think that the United States should propagandize any of its people, but there is no doubt that they are going to continue to propagandize every single person that is in this country every single day. They are not going to abide by any of the laws that they've established, not a single one. And so with what I'm saying is I get more propaganda now from people who are close to me than I do the federal government. I get more propaganda on X from people that I think are my friends, and all they care about is getting me to believe within 2 hours of an assassination. 2 hours of an assassination, it's another country. Based on what? It doesn't matter what it's based on. I'm telling you, I know those people. They're bad. They did it. That's a fact. You'll see. Just wait. You'll see. And then I keep waiting. And what happens? And then when we find out what actually happens, nobody ever has to go back and ever take responsibility for whatever freaking cockamamie conspiracy theory that they had. And guess what? They keep pounding you with it. I mean, and my point is what do you do? I'm more disappointed in my friends than I am the government.
The trans agenda, right? And this gender, or whatever you want to call it, is something that Voice of America had been pushing, especially since 2012. Right. So the people who are sitting here trying to propagandize you on all of these other platforms, where are they getting that information? Where did they get emboldened by? Where did they have fact checkers affirming their false information that they were pushing out to begin with? Right. And it really does come from not having any kind of place where you can look and be like, okay, this is what actually happened. This is the truth.
In July of 2026. That's an inside joke. Forget it.
Well, you were muted for the first half of that joke, so.
Oh, well, I don't ever mute myself, so.
What do you say we get to Prince Andrew? He's been quite quiet
just chiming
there.
in. Mike, I keep muting you between you talking because Cheney and I figured out you have a little bit of a back echo. So that's me. Continue.
I have a soundboard. I keep my mic on mute. So I don't know if it can.
It's good. We're good. We're good.
You sound good to me, Mikey. Hey, Prince Andrew, what's happening? How you sounding today, buddy?
Good. No, I'm finding
Quincy?
it all very interesting, actually. I look.
We did
I
this
think
for
you're
your
right.
sole entertainment.
Yeah, and it's amusing as fuck. I think you have a personal responsibility to keep yourself informed, and you have a personal responsibility to weigh both sides of an argument, and you have a personal responsibility to know how to source that information. Now, I suppose here's the rub. This act really makes no difference. It was built for a different period of time. We can fast forward to, for example, in the UK, I remember the spy catcher thing, where an ex-MI5, MI6 officer released a book against the Official Secrets Act, and it was published over in Australia, and the British government at the time, under Thatcher, took him to court in Australia, and it was always going to lose. And Bernard Ingram, who was the chief of staff for Thatcher at the time, said under oath, they asked him if he was lying, and he turned around and said, no, I'm being economical with the truth. And I think a lot of the information that we get from all sorts of areas, whether it's a different bygone age in 1948 or a different method of communication in 1776 to a different method of communication in 2012 to 2025, the speed of that information has gone at such a pace that you cannot really control it unless you build an infrastructure like they do in certain authoritarian regimes. I mean, we were over in China in 2023, and everything was done through the cell phone, everything was done through that. You purchase stuff on that. Very, very few places took credit cards, and yes, that is a social credit system, but that's just a more sophisticated way of finding those habits than, if you're actually going to, use your own personal credit card and that information is out there for the credit card companies. You're also building files and everything. You're building files on yourself on what you're downloading, what you're watching, what the advertisements are, etc., etc. But it's a bit more nuanced than we've been indoctrinated. You speak to the other side and they feel they have been indoctrinated, or the right is trying to indoctrinate them, or the left is trying to indoctrinate them. But we've built over the last 20 years a system of a poorly educated generation that will not look for alternative sources. They will not research. They're not built to question. They go for the easiest thing. They will plug it into a search engine. They will get a biased response. So again, it's a lot more nuanced, and I agree with what Mike was saying. You've got to take what you hear with a pinch of salt. It is your responsibility to actually make an informed decision. And frankly, if you had let the same idiots over and over again, you've only got yourself to blame. So, look in the mirror and you'll see what's happened. You've abdicated that responsibility to other people. And people have refused to hold their elected representatives accountable. They've refused to hold the media accountable. And this is what you get. There's nothing wrong with, gay people turn around, I just want to be married to the partner I love. You fast forward it 25 years and you have this whole different agenda that people have allowed themselves to be talked into and allowed themselves to be bullied into. And, you know, you've literally got yourselves to blame on that. Because, you know, one side never stands up for itself. One side refuses to inform itself. And it becomes so partisan. It's, you know, this Smith-Mundt Act is, you know, is neither here or there. It's just an updated version of what it was in 1948. And, you know, it updates to a new reality in 2012. And now you're going to have a new reality in 2025.
Yeah, that's a very somber perspective, I must say. It's an adult one too. I like it. Anybody got any comments? Push back.
So I don't think it's so much, again, you know, updating the Smith-Mundt Act, right? I think it's more of getting rid of the Smith-Mundt Act. Like, why are we allowing the government to openly propagandize, especially in the age of the internet, right? When we can go on social media and X and find anything we need to know about anything that's happening in the world. Why are we having this Soviet-style era operation, Voice of America, which is now run by Carrie Lake, right? Why are we even having an operation like this? Why are we allowing the government to openly propagandize? And yes, I understand that's how it's been done up until this point, but like, why do we have to accept it now? Why are we just going to be like, cool, great? You know, I think we actually need a law that says, no, you're not allowed to propagandize on our soil or anybody else's soil. Enough is enough. We have the internet. We don't need you.
How do we determine if they are propagandizing us? What is the threshold or the criteria?
Well, that goes back to what you just said about being an informed citizen, right? That goes back to informing yourself and educating yourself on what's happening. So you know all aspects of what's happening, and then you know the proper way in which these things should be handled, and not just relying on fact checkers that are employed by the government in order to reinforce the narrative that they've been trying to drive. Right. Part of the stuff that Voice of America was putting out was the gender stuff. They were pushing that hard. Right. They were sitting there talking about Trump and his trials and going after Trump. That was not a place for Voice of America, but they were allowed to do that because Obama got rid of the Smith-Mundt Act. And when you have the government agency of Voice of America setting the bar for what the news is in the country, setting the bar for what the acceptable propaganda is to other private companies such as CNN, MSNBC, and so on, right? The government is setting that bar to where the propaganda is. And from there, they're moving instead of starting at the truth and then moving there with the propaganda.
Yeah, but the bar is set by the donors. The bar is set by the shareholders. The bar is set by the advertising revenue, etc., etc.
Yeah, I mean, the people.
But the whole point of BBC, you know, BBC World Service and Voice of America, from what I understand, it's got to be pretty similar, was to espouse American values and an American way of life, and to espouse the government that it actually had, you know, and what its aims were to counteract, you know, the threat of communism, etc., etc. So the message is good when it suits your message, but the message is bad when it goes against that message. So, you know, it's completely outgrown itself. But the point is, you know, there's different back ways. Everything has changed and it's sneaked back in. You know, you could talk about, you know, what is a big threat to democracy? Was it, you know, Nixon sending Kissinger to China? And, you know, you start concentrating on shareholder return, as opposed to, I forget what the phrase was now, but you know, you're creating, you know, on shareholder return, so you're getting more people into work because you've got Europe and Asia has been rebuilt. So the standard of living, let's ignore the standard of living, because that standard of living is going to automatically start going down. Then you start dismantling the financial system. Then you fast forward and you've even got Citizens United, where you're just flooding it with huge amounts of money. That's what's driving the message. And this is not something, excuse me, that, you know, people vote for and it implements one part of an act where it suddenly changes everything. This is a gradual process over decades. And, you know, at this point, what do you actually do? Which sounds a bit horrible and a little bit pessimistic, but what do you actually do to counteract 40, 50 years of this? You know,
I think what we're doing right now, it's the only thing we can do, which is have the discussion. See, I like your comments. Like, hey, it's my responsibility. That's why I started off. I'm like, wow, I just assumed our freedom was going to be forever. I mean, I spent 10 years in the UK and loved it. Thought, wow, this is a cool, man. Nobody's hurting each other. Less crime than America for sure. I could walk down Mayfair, or now they're very nice areas, but this is 92 to 02. I would be terrified to go back to London today. I'm not going to New York. I'm not going to Los Angeles, San Francisco. These places have nothing to offer me right now except risk. Like, I spent my whole life building a business and building wealth and trying to create something productive. I'm not going to go fly somewhere now and get somebody to stick a knife in my ass. You want to see an economy get crushed? People stop moving around. That's what's happening right now. I think it's an intended consequence. Look, I actually think, like we are, imagine if another assassination were to happen this week. And let me say, I think another assassination or something gross is going to happen in very short order. If I was doing it, and I would push so hard right now, I would keep pushing. We're already in shock.
Well, look at this warp shit that's going on. I mean, people were cheering in the streets when that Maggioni, whatever his name was, they basically chucked out the terrorism charges on him, for crying out loud. And people are cheering in the streets about it. You know, but then you circle back. Let's take a few more layers off this to what Bruce was saying 20 odd minutes ago about the militarization of the police. This has been happening for a decade and a half plus in this country. Why? Why did they start militarizing the police? What was going on at the time? How many people were cycling through various war zones with now real-time experience, real-time tactics? They pulled a trigger, they passed that civilized line in the sand, and all of a sudden you've got a couple of million people rotating back into civilian life that standard law enforcement cannot cope with. Was that not part of the driver for the militarization of the police back then? But then you've also got people like Tim Walsh and everything using militarized police units to enforce lockdowns. You know, not that I'm a conspiracy theorist, but you start looking at the line of this, parts of it become pretty apparent because we've already seen it before. You've seen it going back. People have recorded it. Peter Tushnell has gone on about it in Clio Dynamics. You know, he looks at economic data and historical data, and he looks at social conflict. He looks at social upheaval. He looks at the difference in the standard of living and wealth gaps. These are factual things which then create certain outcomes. And you can look at this, and there's a timeline for it. But you're not going to know that if you're reducing the nation's IQ by 9 to 10 points every 2 decades. Because there's huge separation at 99 IQ and a functional idiot at 90. So you think there's a difference between somebody with a 99 IQ and 120? It's massive.
Guys, we
I
have
think there's all sorts of layers to it.
we have over 2,500 people watching. It's a really important topic. Remember to like and subscribe and share. Go on Gary's church on Sundays at 10:30, Bitcoin Space on Mondays, and also Mike Mack. Go check out his show on Wednesdays and follow all these cool guys. Anyway, continue.
Bruce, well, I see you having a lot of responses. Floor is yours.
No, Andrew made a lot of great points. You know, what he said about the militarization of police. You know, it's interesting. Right around then, when you had all of these, increase in the gear, military-like gear for the police, military-like tactics, they changed the rules of engagement too. You know, there's Jesse Ventura's book. I think it's his book. One of these books about the SEALs. I was in the Navy in the same town there, Coronado, and there was this famous bar that the SEALs used to hang around. And Jesse Ventura said, you know, all throughout the 70s and 80s, it was famous that every weekend the cops and the SEALs would fight. You know, the SEALs would get in a big brawl, and the cops would brawl, and they'd brawl it out, and maybe a couple of them get thrown in the drunk tank, and that was it. And I told that's before my time a bit, but I'm old enough to remember kind of the echoes of that, and it's just completely unheard of now. I mean, there's no, you ain't having no brawl with any police today. They will kill you dead. And there's been this never ending ratcheting up that all it took is one generation, from Ventura's time to my time to the people one generation behind me, where it's like, I call it super citizen sometimes. You have this like super citizen attitude, like you can't even talk to them wrong. You can't say anything. And they they'll raid your house, and they'll there's a guy here, he had a illegal Bitcoin ATM machine. He's accused of cheating on his taxes. They showed up at his house with 65 guys. They crashed a drone through his window and come in there with machine guns like this guy is bin Laden. And, so you have this never ending slippage, but to the bigger point about kind of like, what do we do? The powers that be are so entrenched and so huge that it is hard. Even Elon Musk, one of the smartest among us and by far the richest, he couldn't even make any progress. He got ousted by his own guy. I mean, they stabbed him in the back and ran him out of town. And meanwhile, people were burning his stores, and I think 48% of people on the Democrat side said that it would be acceptable to assassinate him. Why? Because he wanted to cut USAID, which everybody, I used to work in development circles, everybody knows it's a boondoggle. I mean, these are the cushiest gigs you can possibly get. They're like, oh, I used to talk to USAID people, and they'd be like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, I think I feel like going to Indonesia. I think I'm going to give crayons to children. And they get, $1.5 million, 3.5, usually somewhere between $1.5 million, just enough to like live very comfortably, fly business class, eat like a king, have a couple employees. And then when they're tired of that, oh, I think I'm going to go teach the dolphins the alphabet in Thailand. And then, I'd really like to do some archaeology in Yemen. And then if you're ambitious and you really want to juice the system, you build up a little network, you get 7 of these people, and you get 20, 30, 40 million dollar contracts. And it's just a huge boondoggle. He couldn't even cut that, because all of this money goes right back into the system. You have the military industrial complex, you have the for-profit prisons, you have the people selling the MRAPs and the tanks, you have the Ukraine war, you have Israel, you have this never-ending system of billions and billions and billions of dollars. You go down to Virginia or DC, there's neighborhoods that go on for 20 minutes where it's $10 million house, $10 million house, $10 million house. And if you go to work at 5 a.m, you're in bumper to bumper traffic with people who have brand new Dodge Chargers and Cadillac Escalades. Every single nickel of that's paid for by us. All those $1 million houses are the top contractors. All those Dodge Chargers are the low end contractors or the government workers. There's 1 million people who make over $100,000 a year. And there's a lot of people in Massachusetts. This is a famous thing. The state is the biggest employer. So the state employs more people than Fidelity. The state they have all these cushy jobs. They pay, 160, 170,000 a year. And there's like a wink, wink, because Massachusetts is one party state. There's a wink, wink, nod, nod thing that if you're a state worker, you don't have to work if you're working on the campaign. So it's like, okay, Gary, we're hiring you as CFO. They'll give you some job. You could be a CTO of, the Massachusetts State Police. You're the CTO. You don't have to know anything about a computer because you don't even need to show up. Your job is to take your 160,000 and you run a network. And if you look up any big political organizer in Massachusetts, look them up and then Google their bio, you're going to find out they work for the state. Do you think they show up to work? They don't show up. And what, is somebody going to tell on them? Like, hey, Gary didn't show up to work. He was busy running your campaign. No, the governor, the mayors, everybody is all in on it. They love those people more than anything. Not only are they not going to get fired, they're going to get continually promoted. And you have that on a national scale with all of this grifting that goes through USAID and all of these cushy jobs and government jobs. It goes back into this giant system. It feeds the contractors. And then it goes right into propaganda to get these people elected and get them to stay in power. And it's very, very difficult. Even Elon couldn't break through it. So, that's something to be aware of. I don't know the solution, but I know that it's very, very difficult to break through because you have this big machine that feeds on itself and steals from us and feeds itself some more.
Yeah, Bruce, if you notice, I put up something in the nets about Oracle. Sounds really bad, but Oracle and A16Z now own 80% of TikTok, along with some other American investors. So that's been settled. And the reason I bring that up is I think this is all really relevant. Okay, we're moving into an age now where we have mainstream media is dead, but you and I think we need to be very, very careful about that we retain our access to all news. This is very, very important. See, for me, these, where I would become really engaged and interested is if we start doing ground. Like, I really, really respect what he was doing, Charlie Kirk was doing. Like, I did not know anything about this guy. I don't follow any of this stuff. And as soon as the guy got shot, I was on a space with Solomon and Simon, and they both said pretty aggressive things about him. And I was like, instead of me reacting, which is I can't believe I'm mature enough now that I don't react, because I actually think those guys add value, and I think they overreacted. And I went and studied the data, and I actually went back to them yesterday, and they were acknowledging they'd made a mistake, which I thought was really cool. Okay, so here's two guys that have been unverified, blue check. They've been like, they're the evil people doing these spaces, but like, we are the solution. Bruce, when you said, hey, there's no solution, the reason I'm doing this, I come into these spaces all the time in the debates. I'm like, why am I doing this? And then I'm like, oh, now I know why I'm doing this. Between the six of us, I just had to have that really kind of moment. Andrew started it off going, hey, I'm the one that's responsible for this shit. If you guys are going to outsource your power to everybody, bend over, make sure you got a bag of Vaseline with you. Okay. Because you're begging for it. That's the talk I need. And the reason I'm here is because you know what the solution is? The solution is we all get very, very, very vocal, very articulate, and surrounded with data. And I think we're making progress because I'm learning how little I know about our own government, much less how the global interplay of chess is played. I haven't paid any attention to it. And I'm smart enough to know that if I were to walk into a casino, think with this analogy, okay? If I were to walk into a casino or an industry and try to extract some value out of that, or bring some value to that industry and then extract some money out of it, I would be so poorly equipped to win the game. You see what I'm saying? I live my life. I have my children. I have hundreds of millions of dollars invested in America, and I have no clue, no clue how the game's really played. Now that is frightening. And I have a responsibility to go, shit, if I'm going to take care of my shit, I need to actually get vocal and start doing something like Charlie Kirk did. I actually think it would be good. I am Charlie Kirk. I think that would be an awesome message, right? Like that persona of, look, if this is true, if it is true that he passed on $150 million, let me tell you something. You do not say no to $150 million to anyone. It is the most fuck you can imagine. There is no bigger fuck you than to say, well, no to $150 million. If it was 40 million, if it's 150, dude, he's saying, fuck you, dude. I'm going to be a problem for you. And we all need to do that. I'm afraid we have no government that's not compromised. None. And quite frankly, if somebody called me tomorrow and said, hey, Mia, we know Mia's in Idaho, I'm probably going to, bend up. I don't want my kid hurt. Anyway, I just think this is a timely discussion. And I think the answer is that we are the answer. Guys, I'd like to hear from some other people like Mike. I think we need to get more vocal. I've got some friends going, why are you doing this? And I'm like, why aren't you doing it? Like actually, I'm doing it because you're not doing it. Anybody?
Yeah, I mean, Mike, or Gary, I think that is
Gary.
the answer.
Gary.
Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah,
it is the answer. And the government is just going to keep doing, keep taking, keep pushing the lines until the American people stand up and say enough is enough. Right. It's been shown every single time that, like, look at the Cracker Barrel stuff, for instance. Right. They were on the path. They were going to get rid of all the Cracker Barrel stuff. Right. Anything that gave that Americana feel, it was out. And then the people stood up and they were like, no, like, we like the Americana, like, we like the dusty shit on the wall. Like, don't take it down. Right. And what did they have to do? They have to reverse all of that. And I think too many times we as Americans sat there and went along with stuff that wasn't constitutionally right or wasn't forced on us by the law. We did it because they told us we had to do it. And there's a bunch of that stuff. And I think if we start standing up and putting them in check where they need to be put in check and saying, like, no, you actually can't do that. That's where the change comes in. It has to be brave enough people to stand up and say, enough is enough.
Yeah, I agree with what Jen said. I'm at a point now where I'm looking at these things and I'm wondering what is the return on my investment for how far I go. You know what I'm saying? Like, do I destroy my own peace of mind? Do I destroy my own sanity every day in order to fight for something that I don't believe there's going to be any return on the investment? And that's something that I have to deal with. That's something that I literally go over this issue in my head. How far do I go? What rabbit holes do I go down? I can't go down all of them. I have to pick and choose which ones I can go down. Now, whichever ones I go down, whoever's going down the other rabbit holes, they're going to destroy me because I'm not going down the right rabbit hole. So there's going to be consequences for every decision that we make. Do we have the ability to say, you know what, your goal is not my goal? Now, as a Christian, my goal is going to be a little bit different than other people's. My number one goal is not to save this country. My number one goal is, as a Christian, is to witness to someone else and to save them based on my belief. And I believe that by saving this country, that gives me the best chance to be able to do that. To be able to have free speech gives me the best chance to be able to do that. So I think that sometimes we have different priorities and different orders, but now it's getting to the point. And what frustrates me is not people coming out against Charlie Kirk and saying, oh, he got killed. Ha ha. I don't like the flag being burned either, but I will support your right to be able to do it. Hate speech sucks. It sucks, especially when it's coming against what we believe. I hate it, but I've got to be able to protect the fact that they get to say it. My issue is not with people condemning what happened to Charlie Kirk. My problem, in my mind, is the people that have already capitalized on Charlie Kirk being killed to be able to push the narrative. that they're going after. And it is numerous. There are numerous ones. We all know which ones they are, right? We already know. And you can see them. They've all flipped, right? They flipped just like this. It was less than a day. They had already flipped. Because your best friend's first cousin's next door neighbor's aunt has someone that she works with at the store that she worked for 20 years that was owned by a guy who knew his first cousin's best friend. You see the connection? It's right there in front of your face. Granted, it's 15 to 20 different generations of a connection, but all it takes is people. They go on. We see them, Gary. You know this. We see them on X all the time. They've got their pay. They're literally no. But did you know that 373 years ago? Okay, y'all didn't know this, but this is, and then it's like, oh, you're just reading a sheet of paper, you know. So that's the issue, Gary. I think that I'm having the biggest trouble with mentally is determining where my energy goes based on what I believe, right? Because we all want to fix these things in groups, but very rarely do any of us do what we need to do personally. Be the kind of person that we need to be, because we don't get enough feedback from that, right? It's not enough. We don't get the instant reaction. But if I can get around a group of people and we can all say, guys, y'all don't understand, this is what we need to do. We hear that in every space from everybody all the time. But what are you doing? Not what are you doing that other people recognize? And Gary, you talk about this in your church all the time. What are you doing that other people don't see, that you know that you're building yourself up, you're building other people up, that other people do not get to applaud you for, you know? And I think that in this country, that is where we're lacking the most. We've got this hole inside of us that we don't want to fill with what's right. We want to fill with what's popular. We want to fill with what gets attention. We want to fill with what gives us clicks. We want to fill with what sounds like it's right. But this hole inside of us is absolutely freaking growing. And I think that ought to be what our number one focus is. And I can tell you this, Gary, I don't know if you saw this, man, but I had a really difficult time with the Charlie Kirk thing, man. It was really, really weird for me. And I asked a question on X. I said, are any of you, and I asked this just as a general question. I said, are any of you feeling like this weighs heavier than some of these more recent tragedies? It got 8.1 million views. Hundreds of thousands of people. There's this weird thread that went through everyone. And I don't know what it is, but it's something.
So I think I can answer that, Mike. Charlie Kirk, right, went out exercising his First Amendment right? He was sitting there debating. And if there's something that the left and the right don't know they agree on, it's the First Amendment, right? Because if you look at the lefties out there, you might not agree with them. They might be out there talking about trans and kids and everything else, but they're doing that because they have a First Amendment right to do so. And they'll tell you they have a First Amendment right to do so. And then when we're out there supporting Donald Trump, right, we're out there, oh my God, MAGA, we're doing this because of the First Amendment. We have the First Amendment right to say that. That's a uniting factor. So when those two groups watched a man get taken out as he was exercising his First Amendment, it cut to the absolute cornerstone of what America is, right? Because if he can't go out, even if you disagree with him, right? That's why you saw Jamie Lee Curtis and her reaction. Like leftists that you would have never thought would have had a reaction of not celebration, of crying and being like, you know, I might not have agreed with anything he said, but he had a right to say it. And that right is the uniting factor. And I think we have to really concentrate on that right we have to have the freedom of speech. And that, without saying, let's bring the two sides together, it's bringing the two sides together without them realizing that they're agreeing.
And almost like we got farther away. We saw a light that somebody put a bowl over and the light went out.
Exactly.
And I think we all knew it, even if it was a light that we didn't agree with, like you said, a light still went out. And I think that either we were sad because the light went out, but we're also sad because I think for the first time in our history, it feels like to me, and I could be using hyperbole here, I don't know. It feels like you know how they say there's that line that we shouldn't cross? It feels like now when we look around, the line has started to show up. It's like we can see the line now. For the first time in our history, it feels like the line has entered the chat, you know? And it just, that makes me really nervous to the point where I'll get chills thinking about it, because I'm really, really nervous that we could become England. We could get in trouble for saying the wrong thing. And I'm going to focus more on making sure that people I disagree with get to say what they want to say.
Well, you
like
should
that, like that's the turn, is not supporting my people. I need to make sure, I need to go against my people when they turn on the other people and say, you can't say that. It's my responsibility to take care of my own house. And I don't want to win. I don't want to win anymore. I don't want to win. We know what the right thing is. Do that. Even if your own people, I'm just ranting a little bit, but that's kind of what it is.
No, yeah, I mean, totally listen, you should fight just as hard for people who you disagree with to have their First Amendment right, more than you fight for the people who agree with you, right? Because if you're on the opposite side of that and all of a sudden someone's taking your First Amendment right away, you would hope that somebody else would stand up and be like, no, that's her First Amendment right. I might not agree with anything she's saying, but she has a right to say it. And I think for one of the first times, people saw true evil in people that they didn't realize were pure evil, right? Having a reaction of celebration and laughing when someone dies, that's reprehensible. There's no coming back from that. And that is pure evil. And it's not like it was, the devil dancing in the corner. It was your kids' professor. It was your kids' kindergarten teacher who was out there celebrating a death, yet you were sending your kids for 8 hours to go sit with that person. Have you thought about that? Right? Like it really shocked society in a way to be like, whoa, what is happening here?
Well, these moments can be good though, right? When you tell me who you are, when someone tells you who they are, believe them. And I think these are the moments that where we get to see who we are. It's not the good moments, right? We're all fake in the good moments. But when these moments happen, we watched an entire world. People didn't even know who, my in-laws don't even live in this country, and they didn't even know who he was. And they do not agree with me politically at all. And we got a phone call the other day saying that they burned a candle for him. And he seemed like a nice person. They don't agree with what he said. They didn't even know who he was. And it affected them,
Mike, the sad part, I saw it as soon as it happened, and I was not shocked at all. I was like, oh, wow, seriously, they did it again, huh?
We forget how long ago was it that the school shooting was, though? It was just the other day.
That I have a response. I don't even have a response of shock. I'm expecting it. And I am expecting it. I think the audience should expect more of this. And look, if you just look at this as a strategy game, if you remove yourself and go, okay, look, I'm looking at Planet Earth game, okay? Like this is a game. And some gangsters got involved. And clearly when 80% of the world is underwater most every day of their lives, there's something wrong, okay? This planet is abundant with so many things. You can't just blame it on poor IQ, okay? Come on. Like humans are adventurous, and they know how to create things and survive. Where am I going with this? I think this might be the most important job anybody's going to do in their entire lives. I look back on my life, and I look at me doing podcast of all things, with all due respect to everybody. I'm not a podcast guy, right? And yet I don't know anything more important than putting together 3,300 people in a room going, hey, we have lost our way completely. And like, look at all the collection of different people coming together just over like 8 weeks. And we're all having a very similar, like, wow, dude, what's happening here? Right? I mean, Andrew comes from a different part of the world. Bruce has seen a different part of the world. Everybody here, I mean, Dustin and Jen have had like, really crazy experiences with real debanking. And we live in a first world nation, man. And that we're even talking about this. I find it actually this month, law, whatever we're talking about, this policy, the truth is you can blame Obama all you want, but they've been propagandizing us since day one, since I've been around. Okay. The JFK death. Okay. That whole thing. So look, we live in a lie. America is a lie right now. It is a total distortion of reality. And I think the problem for Americans, and it'd be interesting to get a European on it, Andrew's viewpoint on this, but I think for Americans, we might be, I was always worried about us having to fall the farthest in a problem event. You know, like somebody in Ukraine doesn't have Gaza, dude, they just want a glass of water. Okay. And here we're like, hey, I need my AC. My AC's out. I mean, it's a problem. And I'm scared that Americans cannot actually look at reality and stand up and fight, because this is not going to go away. Like, I am risking now, I have a lot of money. I'm risking people going, like, I just discovered, they will most certainly go after anyone with a voice. Anyone. I just sent money to Ian Carroll and anyone that's like getting their fucking face out there. Let's go, dude. I'll support you. We need to support people that are doing this. Okay. I have never promoted a product. You've never seen me. In fact, people go, dude, you should charge for your church at least. It's stupid. I have not spent any money investing in advertising or doing this. Has cost me money. And the truth is, more people should do this. This is the right thing for me to do. Okay. I have a face. I have a voice. I'm articulate. And I am actually standing for right. I'm not red. I'm not blue. I'm not white. I am an American, dude. I am a human being, most certainly. That I am. I am a human being first. And what we are doing to other human beings, shooting a man in the neck like that is one thing. But the truth is, we've been killing millions of people. We should be educating people. Like, I am a great teacher, okay? I could teach millions of children how to enjoy their lives. And I haven't. I haven't, because I've been chasing fucking money. And so I'm just going to raise my hand again. This is why I do these things. I am not going to shut the fuck up. I am not going to be quiet. The most important thing for me to do right now is to continue doing these things, even though I hate them. I hate doing this. But I'm not buyable. You cannot buy me. You can kill my ass. The best thing that could possibly come out of this is we end up with 1,000, 10,000 people like Charlie Kirk. That would be cool, okay? And I don't care what side they represent. As long as you just keep putting your face out there, dude, I will become so transparent. The more I speak, the more you're going to be able to shoot holes in me. And that cat, dude, he was out there, okay? I have not seen any dirt on this cat yet. And even if I did, he was speaking truth, okay? And we need more people like that. We need more champions. Whether we like it or not, it dawned on me 9 months ago, shit, this is happening on my watch. I thought I was going to be able to read about it in the next lifetime, man. Well, you know, Bruce, right after you died, Gary, Bruce Fenton and Prince Andrew and Mike Mack, they had a revolution, and I thought I was going to read about it. Other names. No, this is happening on our watch, guys. I need to say that. And we need to not be corrupted and do the right thing. Bruce, Prince Andrew, what do you guys think? I don't see any other. I think this is like, both of you guys are wealthy guys. Andrew's probably like, how did I get pulled into this? But he's going to walk away. You watch. Andrew's going to walk away. You're doing the right thing, man. Like, this is the right thing to do, is to speak about this.
What's the old saying? The ancient curse, may you be born in interesting times. You know, we're in a fourth turning. We're in a time of epic change. You know, that we've talked about this before. You know, for people who don't know, every 100 years or so, you have this fourth turning, and there's, you know, these demographics are a big factor, where you get, you know, conservative generation build something, and then their kids rebel against them. And anyway, about every, you know, 4 generations, about every 100 years, you have an upheaval, because old powers start to crumble, whether it's the Clinton Global Initiative or World Economic Forum at Davos or the UN. or CNN or New York Times, and they get replaced by Joe Rogan and TikTok and new powers and new forces and new influence. And you have times of turmoil, and it's gone back many, many years. There's books about it, like Strauss and Howe, Fourth Turning, and other books. And these times of epic change happen every century or so. And none of us are old enough to remember the last one. We weren't alive, and very few people alive today were, and those who were kids. And that's part of the reason it happens too, because people forget. But again and again, happened 100 years ago with the influenza, which set off World War I, and maps are redrawn, and currencies are changed, and centers of power and influence and religion and everything changes like this. Decades happen. Sometimes you go decades and nothing happens, and then you go a couple years and decades. I think it was 2-3 days before Charlie got shot, I saw somebody say, we are in these epic times, and crazy things are going to happen. Something crazy is going to happen in September. And like Gary said, probably something crazy is going to happen next week, the week after. We're in this time, and the pin that popped the bubble in World War I was assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Nobody knows about him or cares other than history nerds.
Hey, retell that story for the audience, because nobody knows history. And all you got, look, Andrew knows. Andrew's
history nerds know that this guy got assassinated, and that was the point. Is it doesn't matter why, but the point is that was the spark that ignited the kettle. And these guys, Strauss and Howe, wrote the book about the Fourth Turning. They said around 2020, something's going to happen, and it's going to pop the bubble. And it could have been an assassination. It could have been something else, but it happened to be this COVID. I call it COVID tyranny. But this thing, that was the thing that popped. Now, if that COVID would have happened 10 years earlier, if that would have happened in the 90s, we were much stronger. It wouldn't have been a big deal. But because everything's weak, and these old powers are decaying and declining, and the new powers are rising, and there's just chaos and uncertainty, and people who've been around a while can feel it. It's like you're on shaky ice. And I wrote a paper that week around April 2020, and I said, here it is, because I've been following the Fourth Turning idea for 20 years. I said, okay, yep, this is it. This is the thing that did it. And that wasn't some genius prediction. That's just, you didn't even need to know about COVID. These guys predicted it 20 years ago. They said something's going to happen around 2019, 2020, 2021, somewhere around there. You're going to have something happen, and it's going to cause chaos on top of chaos, and nth level chaos begets more chaos, and things unravel. And look how crazy the world. Remember, like not even 5-6 years ago when we saw the riots in America for the first time, we're like, whoa, we hadn't had riots like that since the Watts riots, 1968. I remember my mom talking about the Watts riots. It was like the craziest thing anybody ever seen. And then we had a brief Rodney King riot, and it was big news for 5 years. We got riots every 10 minutes now. I mean, all through the COVID thing, there was 50 major riots. I looked it up today. There was 12 federal buildings burned. 2 of them burned to the ground. 1 police station burned to the ground. That's crazy. That had not happened in the United States for a long, long time. That did not happen in the 70s and 80s and 90s. And so all of this crazy stuff just sort of happened, and the economy and booms and busts and everything. And this is what a Fourth Turning is. Hopefully it doesn't lead to global war. Historically, unfortunately, it has. But whatever the case is, we are in crazy times. And like Gary said,
Bruce, I think global war would be less problematic than civil war.
Yeah, it could be either. It could be. We don't know what we don't know. Those poor, do you know the people who fought in World War I? You see those old movies. Go watch like 1917. And you see these movies, this crazy, tanks and planes and stuff. These people grew up on horseback. They had never even seen a car. Some of these guys there was people who were drafted. They grew up in Minnesota. They'd never seen a car, and they find themselves on a boat, and they go over, and they got planes and tanks and flamethrowers. I mean, we don't know what we don't know. Maybe it's a cyber war. Maybe we all get knocked back into the 1950s, and none of us know how to skin a chicken. We got extra chickens here, and I don't know what to do with them. And my wife's pastor his mom's from Cuba. She knows how to skin a chicken.
You trying to say you got some skinny girls in your backyard? Dude?
No, real actual chicken. We have too many egg chickens, and he says,
"Oh,
can I have
skinny girls, man?"
He's going to give one to his Cuban mom to make into meat. I don't know how to do that. We don't have these skills. If the internet goes down, and there's cyber attacks. We don't know the nature of what we don't know. Just like those poor bastards who grew up on a farm, never even saw a car, and then 6 months later they find themselves on the fields of Normandy, and they got airplanes and tanks and flamethrowers all over the place. We don't know what we don't know. And the world, and I mean, there's crazy, scary weapons. Have you seen some of these drone technology? And that they have every single thing mapped in they know what your house, they know where all 6 of us are. They know what our house looks like. They have a map of our house, and they know every single thing in it. And when they want to send the drone, they can send it right through that window right there, because they know what direction that window faces. We don't know what we don't know, and it's going to be crazy, and it's going to be bigger than we ever thought. Now, hopefully, I mean, the positive side of it is hopefully that we come out better, and there's good things that come out of it too. I don't want to be a pessimist, but we are in crazy times. And, it's all the more reason to do what you said, Gary. We got to be leaders. We got to be, I'm sad that we are in these crazy times, but we are, and it's our responsibility to lead and shape the world in a good way so that we all come out of this.
I just wanted to, I just wanted to, hang around, collect Bitcoin, and be a hedonist.
Exactly.
If I'm honest, really. And really, right? So,
I want to just enjoy my comic.
Andrew's laughing. I'm just being honest, though. We got here because people like me are being lazy, dude.
Yeah,
really.
It's a burden. It's when I ran for Senate.
Freedom is a burden.
I didn't want to run for Senate. I didn't want to win. Part of the reason I probably lost a little bit of self-sabotage. I didn't want that stupid ass job.
Right.
But I felt like I had to. I got the coolest comic book barn you've ever seen out here. All these books. I never have a chance to read them. And I'd like to just sit and read them, but I don't want, like Mike said, I don't want to have a world where our freedoms are, I don't want to be like the UK. I want to do exactly what Mike said. Today I tweeted 2 different things about enemies of ideological enemies of mine, people censoring them. Somebody is fine to fire somebody, sure, but I do not want the government coming in there saying you have to print Charlie Kirk flyers. You have a right to be detestable. You have a right to be offensive. And I want to stick with that right. We have a vigil tomorrow at the college. I'm in a college town. And it'd probably be fairly large. It's right down the street, and there may be counter protests. And the police have arrested protesters before. I will defend I hope nobody is there to be rude about Charlie. I think that's about as low class as you can get. I think you're evil, but I don't want them arrested. If they try and arrest those guys, I'm going to go over and say, please don't arrest them. They have a right to be assholes if they want. They have a right to be horrible and vile.
Hey, Bruce, I got to say, it hurts me, but I totally agree. Like, if you didn't have a good mother or dad and you want to show me on film, awesome, dude. And that's about all I can do about it. Go, wow, you really did not have a very good parenting, son. Or you're a paid actor.
Yeah. Or you just haven't
legit. If you're a paid actor, now that's a legit thing. Chase that motherfucker down.
Be a little all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bruce, I was looking at your posts on Twitter, and that is something that's kind of like, well, it's gut-wrenching to see people say these really horrible things. Then what's the line of, hate speech? Because, like, if someone's like, let's Dana, round all these people up and start killing them, I mean, but what if somebody has a huge platform, right? They have a huge platform, and they're like, you know what? Let's all get the next guy who just needs one gunshot, to take this person out. Let's go kill whatever people we want.
That's the line when you explicitly hate speech. I don't think is a good term, because you should be allowed to hate. I hate commies.
Okay.
I mean, you should be allowed to hate. And sometimes people just need to be guided. They hate for the wrong reason. A lot of people who hate various religions, and then they end up converting to that religion, because somebody treats them other than hate. They don't meet hate with hate, but hate should be allowed. But to your point, the line would be, The only legitimate roles of government are protection of life, liberty, and property, and that includes threats. So if it's an explicit threat to say this person should be killed or let's kill this person, I think that does cross a line where it's legit. Just like driving 110 miles an hour down the street drunk, even if you don't hit anybody, I think still is a crime, because you're placing others at risk. But other than that, you do have a right. You do have a right to celebrate. As it's horrible, reprehensible. It makes me sick to my stomach. It makes me deeply sad. But if you want to cheer, that's free speech.
Well, Bruce, I just want to, you brought up a good point, and the drunk driving thing is actually a great point. I think one of the issues that we're going to be seeing coming up in the very near future is a lot of people like to take the Philip K. Dick version of how to say this word, pre-crime, but it's really preventative justice like you can drink and you can drive, but you can't drink and drive, right? Not because you did anything wrong, but because you're increasing the chances that you might do something very, very wrong, right? Yep. So I think a lot of people, and this is kind of the disingenuous part I see on some people out there, is they're talking about they're trying to get in, they're getting in a pre-crime, they're going to try to arrest us before we ever do anything. We've done preventative justice since probably the beginning of time. Don't do that, idiot. You do it again. Watch what happens. But I do think that might be, and slippery slope's not the correct term to use, but it is close. That is coming. Something in that realm, I think is coming. And another point you said earlier, Bruce, I just wanted to touch on real fast. You said about the fourth turning and the way that things change. All we have to do is look back in time and to watch how things have gone like this, right? The whole there is no reason to think in the future that that's going to change, because it's always done it. Why would we not see the news cycle now is what, daily, almost, roughly, maybe 2-3 days? Why? There's no reason to think, like Ray Kurzweil once said, he goes, the singularity, when it comes to the singularity, that means progression is going at a vertical clip. Bitcoin people know this. You can't go vertical. You're either going to crash or you go sideways and then start building back up at another angle again. What that sideways is very, very interesting.
No, excuse me, but numbers can go exponential. But
not exponentially vertical, though. Not vertical.
Nothing else can.
Maybe for a little while.
Well, maybe for a little while, but something has got to stop that from going vertical at some point. I don't know. I think there's some interesting.
But this didn't happen. This didn't happen with a vertical event. This happened with the slippery slope. This happened when we were unconscious. We became unconscious, man.
Yeah.
And I think about Charlie Kirk's death and the atrocity of untruths after it.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, why are we talking about Charlie Kirk? Because our topic was the Smith-Mundt Act. And there's no chance that 22-year-old kid killed Charlie Kirk. I will bet all the Bitcoin I have.
Oh, I disagree with that completely.
Charlie Kirk did not shoot that man. Okay.
Oh, I totally disagree with that.
What, you totally disagree with that view?
Totally. I think it's absolute Occam's razor. I think that kid. Yeah, but that's what it is, though. Like
you would, if you're right, you would get a lot of Bitcoin. But I would bet my entire fortune there's no chance.
Well, again, all we have is the evidence now. If there was no note underneath this lover's keyboard,
we have no evidence. We have nothing but propaganda.
Well, I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue with that. There's a lot of evidence. But people that don't want to believe the evidence can always conspiracy to the boogeyman about it's Israel or somebody behind it.
So you think this kid shot Charlie Kirk?
Of course, yeah. I don't think there's any doubt about it.
With a what? With a 30-06.
Everybody's going to talk about the screwdriver.
I just want to know, because you said there was a lot of evidence.
I could put a bullet behind a shoulder blade of a deer from 300 yards with the 30-06 like that.
I wasn't asking you if you could do that. I just asked you, is this more difficult to shoot a 30-06 than a 5.56? But the fucking
that's not going to go the
exit
distance.
wound is totally different. First off, that is different.
But you don't have to use that same ammo. You don't have to use the same ammo. Like, there's different ammo that goes in a 30-06.
Yeah. So we got a 22-year-old kid
who said he was going to do it.
who
left a note that said he did it.
Yeah.
Has a
Did
partner
you read,
who's-
by the way, did you read that note? Because I just read it.
Well, the
Have
partner.
you read the
partner
letter
is the
he
one
sent to his boyfriend?
That
Go ahead- go
letter
ahead.
didn't seem phony.
But did you see?
Well, I can't
that's
answer
what
the
I'm
question.
asking.
You've
There's
asked it
so
5
much
times.
evidence,
I can't
Mike.
answer it.
But Mike,
you go ahead, Gary. Go ahead. No, I'm fine.
You said there's a ton of evidence, and I'm saying there's a ton of propaganda because I haven't seen any evidence in a courtroom. There hadn't been a court experience. And if you have seen some evidence, I saw a letter that was reportedly written to his lover or boyfriend or housemate or whatever he was. I don't really care what he was doing sexually. Has nothing to do with this.
Nobody said it did.
Nothing. Oh no! A lot of people are saying he's gay and
doesn't matter.
transvestite and he's cycling and.
Oh my God!
I'm just saying that has been a part of this story, has it not?
I don't care.
Nobody was talking about transvestites with JFK. Okay, this part of the story.
Let me know when I
about
can answer a question, and then I'll talk.
What I'm trying to understand is what information do you have on this letter that says he admitted it? Because I read the letter and it looks completely fucking stupid to me. Mike?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't hear. What'd you say?
I said I thought the letter that I saw, maybe you're seeing different evidence, but I thought the letter was stupid. Complete joke.
So was killing someone like Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, no, I'm asking you though, have you seen any evidence on these letters that's different than what I have?
Look, if the letter is a plant and it's not real, then you're right. If his dad was lying about his own son, then you're correct. If the sheriff that was over there did not hear what he heard, then you're correct. If the family knew and asked about, if the mother did not recognize the gun and say that's their grandfather's gun, then you are correct. If the DNA that is on the trigger and on the rifle itself, according to the people they have, because in the state of Utah, you have to divulge this information, right? If that is all, if
in the
everything
state of Utah, you have to do what?
You have to put out people are saying, why are they giving out all this information? In Utah, you have to. So
what information though, buddy?
Evidence ahead of time, because a lot of people are saying they're tainting the case to a jury because they're revealing all this stuff. Well, in Utah, you have to. So
yeah.
it's not.
Is that why they immediately just completely unprotected the fucking crime scene?
Yeah.
They just tore right over it and washed it down.
Utah has some weird law about how you have to release the information out there about that,
at all crimes before they can be investigated.
Again, if everything that the dad said and the mother said against their own son, if it's all a lie, and the guy that's cooperating,
you're the host.
Is it cutting out for you guys? Cutting out for you guys too.
Of course he is.
All right, go ahead. Go. Let's try it again. Let's see if we can hear you. You cut out a little bit.
FBI is jamming you.
I thought it was me.
Yeah. Hey, Bruce, they want his message.
Yeah.
Hey, look, what I'm saying is that I don't know if you can. I don't look. If his mom and dad are both lying, the sheriff that was over there is lying. If the roommate, his lover, is lying, if the people in the Discord are lying, if that note was not real, if that's not his grandfather's gun, if there is no DNA, then you're right. But if it is, then it's just a shooter. It's happened for the history of time. We've had shooters.
When was the last time we just had a shooter, man, without a political agenda? Can you tell me?
Well, I can't tell you this. What I don't understand is why is there no evidence whatsoever about anything to do with the frickin' Trump shooter? Nothing. No family.
That's a fair question, but let's stay on what you said. We've had this forever. Okay, and maybe you want to go to Trump, but
no. I'm just saying a shooter. Mangione.
Yeah. Well, what wasn't it? The guy just laying on the top, just like this story. I mean, he's just laying prone and.
Yeah, but the difference is and the
difference is by like. See, it's hard. I think this is hard.
No, it's not hard. I can answer the question.
Well, no, I think it's hard I think what we're seeing is hard because it requires us all to actually do more digging on information than that's why I support people that are doing it. Cause I'm like, man, I'm not sure I'm capable or ready to do it, but I don't think we can just sit there and wait for information to come to us if we want to live in a free country.
But think about this though. We just saw a bunch of X spaces start up, and everybody shoots down everything that's happened because the evidence came out too fast. It's got to be rigged. It's too fast. We can wait. If we wait, we're not getting it soon enough, and they can change it. If we get it too soon, they're trying to propagandize us, and we already know what we're going to believe. And we are going to find my dad was a detective for 37 years. A detective can walk into a scene and look at the evidence and determine the crime, or he can walk in with the crime determined and look for the evidence to support it. And both ways, they both win. They both can get to the same conclusion.
Can you,
if you want to find the killer, you can find it.
If we have anybody else on the stage that has military or crime experience, could you ask your dad if it's unusual that they would clean? Sorry, I got an alarm going on. That they would clean the space that quick.
They're here. Everybody get out. Get out of here. They're coming. They're at Gary's door. They're outside. They're literally outside his freaking door. I'm out. My name. It's not Mike Mack. Prince Andrew. He's already got a good name. Fenton, you're in trouble. Dana, cut it off. Cut it off. Get us out of here.
It's too
Where's
late.
those damn dogs?
It's too late. What do you guys all think? I mean, I don't think it was a 22-year-old kid. Like, but that's just maybe you'll say that's biased. It was a one shot. It was a one shot right in the neck like that. Go ahead, Prince Andrew.
Yeah, but it's a bad shot. He wouldn't have been aiming for his fucking neck. It's a 200-yard shot with a 30-yard 6 with a scope from a prone position. I don't know what anybody else shoots here and so on and so forth, but you should be able to teach somebody that shot in, I don't know, a couple of freaking days. It's not difficult.
It's not. No, not at all, actually.
It's not a difficult shot. In fact, to be honest with you, the fact that, they hit the poor bugger in the neck shows that he pulled the shot. It's horrible, and it's just, I don't think it's overly that complicated. We'll start looking for things that aren't there because we want it to fit. That sometimes the simplest explanation is the simplest explanation. And go back to what Gary and Bruce were saying. 25 years ago there were 20,000 Charlie Kirks out there. They were coming through a system, or people were encouraged to think freely. And they were encouraged to discuss things, and that's changed. And you talk about somebody else. I mean, Gary turned around and said, "Well, if you could turn your nose up at 140 million, I can name one person that turned his nose up at 50 million. That's Dave Chappelle." And
True.
Yeah, and
That's true.
He's super interesting character. He really, really is. It was when he got the oh my god, I got brain freeze. When he got the Mark Twain Award, we're at the Milano with him, and then back at the suite, and some of the interesting things that he's an incredibly well-read person, and he has a truth which needs to be said, and people from both sides have gone after Dave, and super interesting guy. But we need more people. He's not an ideological comedian. He has a viewpoint and he says it. And we need more people out there like that. And we need more people out there in the mainstream, out there talking like Charlie Kirk, and talking like Dave Chappelle, even Bill Maher, whether you love him or hate him, still sits there and converses. You don't have to agree with somebody. So, problem is we're just tying ourselves down to whether we want to, that's our freedom there, or whether we want it to be there and operate between those lines. And that comes down to, a decision of a generation of where they want to go. Look at us lot sitting around here. Unfortunately, Dana's the youngest person here. Where are these 18, 19, 20, 21, 22-year-olds who want to talk about this? People have a lived, this is literally a lived experience. I went through basically my entire career as a true believer until I found out it was bullshit when they just wanted to bye, and that was it. And then you start thinking for yourself, and you think you're thinking for yourself before that, but you need to have a little bit of a realization of
Agreed.
Yeah, where how did you come to this? Why did you come to this? And you have to have that experience. And unfortunately, a lot of these kids these days don't have that experience. That experience is what we're seeing on the screen here in 10-second, 15-second bites. I applauded Colin Kaepernick for taking a knee. Good for him. That's his fucking right. You want to burn that flag? Good for him. He took us. But, there's always the flip side of that is everybody else made money out of it apart from Colin Kaepernick. I see all these people now on X going, oh, I knew COVID was this. I just didn't want to say anything. I was bullied into saying these things about other people. I was scared of losing my job. And now I'm back on CNN and everywhere else making more money telling people that I made a mistake. What happened to those poor bastards that lost their jobs, lost their homes, lost their livelihoods, were debanked? And you don't have to go through a process to debank somebody. It's a conversation you have to have. Just like you can have a conversation to be trespassed or be advised not to serve somebody on a private premises. The banks make that decision if they're asked, if they get a visit. They do it all the time. So, Jen and Dustin, nothing was ever going to be in writing with that type of stuff, because all you have to do is have a conversation. And that's how much power these people actually have. They genuinely do. I've digressed here, so I'm not sure where I'm going anymore. But yeah, I think you guys raised some really interesting points, and
well, that's what we try to do here at Cardone Debates every Tuesday at 5 p.m. And I want to thank everyone, Dana, Mike Mack, yourself, Prince Andrew, even though that's a fake name. We would not want you to be known as a highly suspected pedophile that's inside of the Queen's family, now the King's family. Oh, shoot me in the face, will you? And that was my imitation of Bruce Fenton, of course, doing his best bureaucratic, super liberal, super queeny kind of, I'm a blue blooder. Anyway, I want to say that I'm proud to own that I'm going to just be a little bit more Charlie Kirkish than I was yesterday. That's what I'm going to say, okay? Because I think if that was my son, I would be fucking proud. Like, super proud. The 22-year-old? No. Sorry, man. Okay, like, the only thing good about this story I've heard about the 22-year-old is the dad wouldn't take the money. That's the only thing I've heard. In fact, the dad had an obligation to do that, to surrender that kid. I would have done the same thing, man. I don't think the guy said, hey, here is your murderer, by the way. I just think he surrendered him to the cops. I did not see the dad say, I know my kid shot this man. I did not see that, Mike Mack, but maybe you did. There's a lot more to this shit going on. This is not Gary Cardone believes this is not the real story. That's what I believe. Believe what you want. I think people should do their research, their own research, a fucking ton of it.
Oh, no, I agree. Read more, open your mind, look at history. We've done it before. We're going to do it.
If it doesn't make sense, ask more questions, man.
Absolutely.
And look for inconsistencies. Any closing comments, thoughts? Really
Thank you,
appreciate
guys.
you guys being here. I know it's a big chunk of your time.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
I
man.
really appreciate you guys
Great to meet
coming.
you
We have
guys.
almost 5,000 here, so we hope that we'll see you again on next Tuesday at 5.
Thank
But
you, guys.
remember to follow Bruce, Prince Andrew, Mike Mack. They're all really smart guys, have a lot to say. And we really hope that you guys come again. It's a true pleasure to have you. And this was in loving memory of Kirk.
Peace.
So thank you guys. Thank
Peace.
you guys for coming.